Hey, delighted to have you with us as always. Today's topic is going to be about when you decide that you don't want to work with a sales prospect. What do you do with that prospect? How do you manage kind of checking out and stopping the progress on a potential deal? Now, some may see this as quite a trivial topic. It's like, well, you don't want to work with them, you just end it and fine, okay? And within reason, that is fair. However, how you deal with these situations, kind of, for me, it's a little bit more internal. It's like my integrity. It's more valuable to me about how I handle these situations, and in turn, what that will become valuable is to your to the prospects that you're dealing with professionally, and also it can lead to some other benefits. But that's not really why you would do it. But I'll explain what those benefits can be towards the end of this video. So first of all, let's just explain the kind of circumstance where this might come about. So you've had an inquiry. They've booked a consultation, booked a meeting, booked a what I call a connect call, which is the first call of the sales process with you, and you've had a discussion. As a result of that discussion, it's become clear to you that you cannot help them, which is the key part here, that you cannot provide the service to them. Perhaps it's very clear that you are not the best solution for them. They need another solution first. Let's say, for example, here's a good one. If you were going to be you're a marketer and you're going to offer some marketing services to them, and their web, which is relying on their website, and their website is so poor that you could not market to that website. Excuse me. You would recommend that they need to develop or design or rebuild the website first. Now, this is slightly different because it may be that you then come back later and actually work with that prospect once they've got their website put together. But there could be other circumstances where they're just not a good fit and they never will be because you're then not working in the right audience. Perhaps even through a conversation, you just decide it's not a good connection. You talk about the core values, there isn't any synergy there, and it's just not the type of prospect that you want to work with. Maybe budget wise, they aren't a great fit. Again, that could be one that comes down further down the line, which I'll come back to in a moment. But for whatever reason, you aren't ready and you do not want to work with that prospect. So one of the key things is that you're upfront about that, and you're absolutely clear on it. Do not move forward with a prospect who you feel like this about for other reasons. And most of the time, most of the time that is due to financial reasons. So that's because I don't like the word desperate, but maybe if you're just starting out or you've had a little bit of a lull in projects and you really need to get some revenue into your freelance business, you can take on some of these projects. Never, ever, ever do that. Please heed my advice. It's always a mistake. I understand the pressures and why you might want to and why you might feel compelled to at times, but it will never, ever work out. I'll tell you why. So for a few reasons. First of all, it can lead to complaints, requests for refunds or late payments. So what I mean by that is that if you work on a project which you genuinely know you're probably not the best person to do so, or you're probably not the best solution, the results aren't going to be very good. So that's when you're going to get problems and complaints down the line. Off the back of that can be say, well, I want my money back because I didn't get the service, which, again, you can have contractual things about this or whatever, but also late payments. Now, I always suggest you should be getting a deposit anyway, particularly for new clients. But still, if you're getting any payment on receipt of completion of work, that can be an issue. It can be bad for your reputation, right? Particularly if you're going out there and doing work which isn't adding value to clients. That's not going to do you any favors at all in terms of your reputation, whether that's online reviews, social media, or anything like that. It takes up a lot of your time as well, because often the projects that are the most challenging and difficult ones where you can't add value, you're really trying your hardest to fit a square peg into a round hole type thing, and it's just very frustrating. And finally, that touches on that point there. It's not very enjoyable. If you work with a prospect where you can really add value and it's a great relationship and you're seeing success and you're growing together, that's so fulfilling. But in these situations where you're not really adding value, they're frustrated, they're on at you and saying, we're not seeing the results we wanted. That's really not a great experience. It can drain the life out of you and actually affect some of your other client work, which potentially they're great clients, but this one poor quality client. So this just explains why you should never, ever do that. Okay, so we've addressed that point. The next one is about what do you then do in terms of wrapping up that conversation. You need to be open and honest early. Don't let this drag on for too long. Just explain, and even if it's because you have a disassociation on values, so you're not aligned on values. You don't necessarily have to say that. It's not about hiding the truth. It's just about how they're going to feel about that. So you just want to explain that you feel that we're not a great fit. Thank you so much for their time. Really appreciate their interest in working with you, but it's not a great fit at this moment. And what I always try to do is one of two things, and potentially both. The first thing is I offer and have offered as a freelancer some content for prospects. So this could be downloadable guides, this could be blog sections, this could be various things like that, videos, online courses, whatever it might be. If you can give some value to the prospect from giving them access to these documents or sharing templates and ebooks and guides, do that. You don't even need to have your own, to be honest. If you've used them for your own learning and you've found some really good resources, share them with the prospect. Say, look, here's some really good content I can recommend. Go ahead and read that and you'll understand a bit better. And then the sort of second part of this is that you can obviously then refer them on to somebody else. And you want to make sure that you're doing that because it actually could be a good fit. You're not referring kind of bad leads onto somebody that you work with, because obviously that relationship's not going to be particularly successful over time as well, because they're going to become frustrated. But if, let's say, for example, it's just a smaller project and that there's someone else who's starting out and they could do with the work, that's a good example there. Maybe that they don't work in your market. You have a specific niche you work in. They target another niche, and a provider who works in that niche. You can recommend them on to somebody else. So by one of those two things, you do leave that dynamic, that relationship, that conversation with some value. You've offered them either some content or a referral. They're going to be very thankful for that. You're going to feel more happy about the situation. You can move on to working on some better prospects. And as I say, depending on the reason, it can come back around in two ways. Number one, that they grow or they pivot or something changes over time and they can come back to you and they'll remember you well for the way that you handled them. That's happened to me multiple times. And the second way is that they can refer you on to other people, because even though they didn't even work with you, they can see your professionalism. So when someone else asks for a similar service or provider, which may be a better fit, they'll say, oh, I spoke to X, you should have a chat with them. They were very, very professional. So there are two ways this can come around to benefit you. But as I say, it feels better as well, kind of internally, for your own kind of mindset and how you feel when you deal with prospects which aren't a good fit for you.